did my case study on a 7th grade boy named William Stark. He went by Billy. Uh, he was not your average 7th grader. He was a misfit who often dressed in oversized jackets, jeans, and a t-shirt. His hair, if he didn't shave it, would be dyed jet black. Um, he looked dirty and grungy most of the time. He would smoke heavily and would use drugs, and he would often appear high while he was at school. Billy had just transferred to Southview Middle School. However, his bad reputation had preceded him, and many teachers were uneasy about his transfer. However, the teachers at Southview Middle School, they wanted to help Billy to conquer his behavioral disorder. Mr. Solstick was a very good principal and actually cared for his students. He thought he could help Billy get his problem under control. He picked a teacher with very good rapport and had a laid-back attitude. His name was Mr. Banta. Mr. Banta really tried with Billy. The first day of class, Billy slapped a kid in the arm with a book, but he refused. He said the other kids teased him and that it wasn't his fault. He refused to accept responsibility for his actions. He didn't send Billy to the office, but instead tried to speak with Billy. He thought he could handle it in his classroom, and maybe that would help Billy out. Billy would go into fits and rages over, the course that he was in Mr. Banta's class. So Mr. Banta would have to move the kids from one classroom to another and let Billy stay in there with his fits. However, this did not work. So Mr. Banta thought it would be better if Billy was in a regular class half the day and a special class half of the day, like special ed. So Mr. Solstick met with Billy's father, which admitted to having a drinking problem, and admitted to thinking Billy's problems were the fact that his mother had just abandoned him recently, and the father had gotten his drinking under control, but I guess he wasn't doing as well at home with Billy as he could because the wife used to do all of the work with Billy. His father also said they had tried many different medicines with no avail, that at his previous schools he still had problems and got suspended. They tried not to get discouraged with Billy and tried to help him. In his special ed class, the teacher tried to give him rewards for acting right, but this proved not to work because, for example, they would give Billy the reward of being able to leave the classroom, but then the teachers would later find Billy in the bathroom smoking cigarettes. He would make fun of everybody the whole time. Like every time the teachers tried to help him or read him a book to get him interested, he would just make fun of him and nag at him. And this would frustrate the teachers, but they would try to get everything under control. After months of working with Billy, with the counselors and the teachers, and everything they had done with Billy, they learned that the father and Billy were moving back to Indiana so that Billy could be closer to his family, because they could help the father out. After Billy and them moved, the teachers still wanted to keep up with Billy because they had still talked about how they couldn't help him and they really felt bad for it. So they wanted to keep up with Billy, but when they checked in, Billy was in a juvenile detention center. In this case study, there was nothing they could do. They exhausted every resource. They tried, counseling, they tried medications, they've tried talking with Billy, different teachers have tried different approaches. They've tried positive reinforcement, such as reading magazines or giving him rewards, and nothing helped. Unfortunately, in these cases, sometimes that's the way life goes. Sometimes there is nothing you can do. You have to figure out where you can reach the child at, and they just couldn't reach Billy. Billy he didn't want to be reached. He knew his problems. Like, he knew his mother was the root of his problem at that time, but he wanted to blame everybody else for everything. So when you blame everybody, you can't take responsibility for your own actions. You just want to be like, oh, I did it because my mom left me. You can't in life blame everybody else for everything. So unfortunately, they were very caring and they honestly did try, but it just didn't work.